they brought this up on Triple KO. What if Elena's healing in Street Fighter 6 brought back drive gauge? Now they was debating this back and forth on whether Elena, her healing, would it be a level 1? Would it be a level 2? Would it be that she brought back drive gauge, or would she bring back health? Or would she have an option for to do both? Like just press a certain button, this to do drive gauge, this to do healing. Like they went back and forth about it. But at the end of the day, how do y'all feel about Elena's healing actually this time bringing back drive gauge? Now, a lot of people are like, well, hopefully they don't bring it back, period. It's pretty much already confirmed. If you look up in the Event Hub's article, they did an interview with one of the Street Fighter producers, and he basically just said, like, yeah, we understand how broken healing was back in Street Fighter 4, but we understand that now. So this time, don't worry about it too much when it comes to Street Fighter 6. So basically, he's just saying, trust me, bro, it won't be broken this time. We'll see.
Okay. Sure.
So, how do y'all feel about this? I'll start first. I don't know. For me, it's like I feel like bringing back drive gauge would be more busted because it's like now. First of all, Max said, "What if it's a level 1?" I think a level 1 would be too broken. It needs to at least be a level 2. Now with it being a level 2, if you brought back drive gauge, that's a lot. That's a lot because we know the game basically revolves around like drive gauge, everything. And let's just think about like how a typical round of Street Fighter works. You know, neutral, neutral, neutral. Somebody do something random. I get one hit, drive rush, dump all my meter, get you in the corner, blase, blase, whatever. Then do a super. Now let's just say with Elena, you don't dump the whole super and everything. You basically get them in the corner, do your whole spiel just to do your super, get your drive gauge back, and then do it all over again. Like just start your whole Oki pressure all over again. Shoot, you won't even need the super. I just combo you to death and mix you to death. So you don't need the super. So and then let's just say not that scenario, but just having like, I mean, this game revolves around drive gauge so much. It's just like it would be hard to believe. Like think of Noah the Prodigy and how he plays. I think of like Noah the Prodigy with him going into burnout all the time, but then he also has a resource where it's like, hey, if you just expend a level 2, shoot, in Max case a level 1, you get all your drop gauge back. Like, I mean, the game already oppressive enough, and to just be like to be in a situation where you get forever pressure. Now, how fast would she build that gauge is another question. Because it was with Rashid, like with his level 2, it seemed like that tornado steady on the screen whenever you want it. So how fast she gonna build that super meter back? Now I feel like health would be a better option. Health probably would be the better option in building drive gauge because it's like in this game your health could go down so fast. I mean, just one mistake and then next thing you know, like more than 50% of your life could be gone. Just from the spin cycle of like, oh, you messed up. Crouch a medium and to dump everything, and then next thing you know, you sitting there like at 25% life, like, okay, what am I doing? So if you brought back, your health, then it's like, okay, that's something that could be depleted quick anyway. But to steady have like the universal mechanic that basically everything revolves around and basically oppresses everybody, that's crazy. So I if it brought back drive gauge, depending on how they do it, it might be tolerable. But at the end of the day, it'd probably still be annoying as all get out. So, what do y'all think? We'll go to you next, Mr. Gamer.
So just from hearing that, I've typed up just a few notes of what I think because this is so interesting because it's weird when Elena came out in Street Fighter 4 in Ultra. Me and one of my at the time sparring partners, Mr. Woot Sick. He was playing and he's like, I don't think she's that good. And I'm like, come on, bro. You good at fighting games. I know you can tell this character is broken. I saw her low profile and low attack. I'm like, yeah, any character that can go under a move that's supposed to hit anything that's on that level and she goes under it, yeah, that character's gonna be busted. And she was busted. So drive gauge just shouldn't even be an option. But if you did something like that, you're gonna have to like mitigate it with other things. Like it can't be a level 1. because that would cause broken combos. Let's say she got healing is level 1 and it brought back drive gauge, right? So when
That's crazy.
you do a button to drive rush, right? It takes half a gauge, I believe. Yeah, it takes half a gauge when you do a button to drive rush. It is this all depends on a lot of factors though. Like, can she combo into it like JP? Like, can she combo into her thing like other installs in the game, like JP's install? I believe Jamie's install. I believe you can. I think you might be able to combo into his. I know you can combo into juries. So that's one question. Can she combo into it, or is it just something that, or does it have too much recovery frames that she has to like do it maybe on a knockdown or something like that? So that's a question. Because if it is, how much does it recover if it does recover drive gauge? Because this way she would just be able to do like button into drive rush, button into drive rush. That could be a possibility. So I don't. It can't be a level 1. If it's a level 1, it should only restore like 1.5 bars max. You can't have it be a level 1 because there's 3 resources that she would have. That's her like so her life. Well, technically 2 because you got drive gauge and super meter. So in Street Fighter 4, the thing was you only had 1 resource that was super meter. Period. This game you have 2. So now she has a separate meter for a super, and then it restores another bar of resource. That's just too much value on the character. I just don't think you could. That just wouldn't. I don't know. I don't think that'd be a smart idea. Level 2 would be better, and it should just be health. Make it 2 bars super meter, and it restores health. Okay. Or maybe you go drive rush, but only a certain amount. If you restore drive rush, maybe it should stop her super meter game. You can't have her restoring her drive rush and then still be able to build meter to then do it again. Like, there has to be some type of delay. If she restores drive rush, okay, for like, I don't know, 5-10 seconds, maybe she can't build meter. Because that would just be ridiculous. Just, okay, I built drive rush back up. I'm get the hit, combo you again. Oh, I got another 2 super meters. I'm gonna just get my drive rush back in. That'd be ridiculous. And maybe if she gained the meter, the drive meter, it reduced her damage or something. There has to be some type of stability, some type of mediation of like limiting. Like, you can't
Yeah, some
just.
people were saying, how about you change it to where if she do it, she builds it back off hit, like, hitting you or something like that, instead of just like do the move, boom, automatic 2 to 3 bars of drive gauge back.
Okay, that I can see something like that where she's in an install state where if she does damage to you, she builds even more drive gauge. But I guess that I don't know, or maybe something where she's invulnerable to burnout. I think that could be kind of interesting. Maybe like when she's in this state, and let's say she's in a corner, you can't burn her out. She just can't be burned out, so she can't get hit by. But that also that might be broken. It's like, you got one character in the game that can't be wall stunned if they're in an install. So
Yeah, it's
I don't know,
basically
man.
the same thing, just done a different way. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like now she's like, well, hey, she's in the corner, but hey, I can't. My drive impact into the corner, I can't burn out her. She's just, I don't know. It's it's gonna be interesting to see what they do. They might just, maybe they just take the move out altogether, but I know they're not. But
Yeah, they said they're not.
I just think health. Just make it health. Make it 2 bars super meter, or maybe make it level 3. I don't know. Just make it 2. It's probably just 2 bars. And when 2 bars a meter, and then she doesn't build super meter for a while. I think that's how you do that.
But I think they would at least give her 3, because don't you need 3 bars of drive gauge to at least do drive rush?
From an attack you do, but if just doing basic drive rush, it just takes like 1 bar.
Just 1. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're trying to can't do a drive rush cancel, it costs more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so drive rush cancel is 3. Okay, got you.
Yeah. I just think if you make it level 2, make it heal health, and then she can't build super meter for a while. Because I mean, there's been time we've seen it like Marvel 3 with Morgan. I think when she goes into the install astral vision, I don't think she can build meter in that. I don't believe she can, and that'd be kind of busted if you have a character in an install that's now building even more meter to just do it again. It's like, and we saw what Morgan was doing. Just, you can't play the game. So
yeah, they saying it ain't gonna be busted, but we gonna see. See.
We'll see. Like I said, my partner was like, "Oh, she's not there. I don't think she's that good." I'm like, "Sir, I've been playing against you with this character for like 2 hours. She's busted. I know she's good." So,
yeah, they do it to where like she get to choose between health and drive gauge. Just go ahead and say this season 3 is Elena 5 to 6. But go ahead.
I don't know, man. Like, it's gonna be kind of weird because yeah, when you have a character that can bring back their health even in the first place, like even if you take out the factor of drive rush, like a character that can restore one of the basically the most precious resource in the game, which is your health. Like that's like got to be one of the most precious resources because if you have no super gauge, you can still win the match, right? If you have no drive gauge, you can still conceptually win the match. You got no health, you can't win the match. You lost. So the fact that you can even heal yourself in the first place is kind of crazy. As far as like the super, I agree with Mr. Game and Lift on like I don't think it definitely shouldn't be 1 bar. It should definitely be at least 2 bars of super. As far as like the whole thing going where it like restores health or drive gauge, I definitely do not think it should be restoring drive gauge. I don't think that should be a thing at all. I'm not sure why why that would ever be a thing. Like that. I mean, that is the in my mind the second most important resource in Street Fighter 6 is your drive gauge. Arguably it's as important as your health is
Yeah.
because depending on how much drive gauge you have, that determines whether or not you can defend yourself, whether you take chip damage, whether or not you can move about freely, whether you can do your OD moves, all of that, man. So it is kind of like I would say, it might be tied actually for this game. It might be tied with how important your health is. Um, but if you were going to try, in my mind, right, like this is just like me being like theorizing, hypothesizing even. I feel like if you were going to have a move like that healed your drive gauge, I feel like it would only be. I would have it so that it heals you, right? It would heal your health if you're not in burnout. Now, if you were in burnout, I feel like it should only heal drive gauge if you're in burnout, maybe. And it doesn't heal your health. Like it only restores your drive gauge in burnout. And it doesn't even restore, like it just basically all it does is it's like, okay, I'm in burnout, and then maybe you can get out of burnout or something like that. And not even like a full, like, maybe like half a game, like maybe fully back up to half or something like that, maybe. But it should only do that and not heal your health. And it should definitely not be it should not be less than 2 bars of super, I think. Um, and I think like you do that, you're out of burnout, but you haven't healed any of your health or anything like that. So I don't know, like, because I feel like if you have it so she's healing both, that's really ridiculous. Like I'm like it's it's so skewed and so over the top that I'm like, bro, why are you even you might as well just take the limiters off of all the characters, roll back everybody, like take all the nerfs that you ever did for everybody else out of the game if you're going to do something like that. You know what I mean? Because that's insane. But that's just my opinion. I think like if she restores a drive gauge, it shouldn't be health. And I think like it should only restore drive gauge if she's in burnout. You know what I mean? Because otherwise, like if you're like just walking around and then you can combo into it or something, that'd be even worse. You can combo into healing and then you just like kind of just keep going with your moves and stuff. And like you're saying earlier, like Rexon, like imagine like being able to restore your drive gauge in the middle of a combo. That's insane. That's ridiculous. So yeah, I don't think there should ever be a situation where you can restore your drive gauge like that in the middle of combos. I think, like I said, I think that should only be an option if you're in burnout, like no other time. Like every other time, it should just be like straight health.
Imagine if they had healing in Street Fighter Cross Tekken when it was already timeouts anyway. That'd be crazy. That was
Yeah.
just a random thought I had. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see with Elena because of how different Street Fighter 6 is from Street Fighter 4. Um I can't wait to see Elena. I don't know. I'm more so not excited for her just because I like the character, but just her making her return from Street Fighter 4 and me knowing how they was because the developers said they were actually thinking about just creating they wanted a character from Africa. So to let you know like how they determine their cast from Street Fighter is really not like what we think, like, oh, we just want this character, we want that character, bring him back. For them, it's just like telling their story, making sure they have like a lot of nationalities and stuff like that covered. But they said they wanted another African character and they were thinking about creating a totally new African character. But they was like they went and chose Elena because if they did create a totally different Africa character, then it was like, well, they kind of puts it in limbo of like, would she even be able to return after Street Fighter 6? Like, you know, would she just be totally done away with since we basically got this new character that's part of the new story? So just for the see like how she's gonna be in Street Fighter 6, that's what I'm most excited for, because we know basically like at the end of Street Fighter 4's life, she basically like doomed it for everybody. That was basically who everybody was like, you know, they basically called you a dirty Elena player back then. But yeah, so it's just gonna be unique to see like how they do her in Street Fighter 6, because yeah, this is a game that already people are just like, I'm iffy on this game anyway, with how offensive heavy it is, how simplified it is. You know, people like Idon coming in saying like this game is like so simple, there really ain't much to talk about in it. It's simpler than Street Fighter 5. And then you bring a character like Elena in who could just be like, who people are saying like, just give me my drive gauge back. Cheating. Basically, what she should be saying. And then it's like, okay, y'all basically took this game to a whole different level of I don't want to play this no more. So they got to have to be real careful.
It'd be funny somebody game when it comes out and she puts her hand up, somebody just mod in, she's just like, emotional damage.
Emotional damage.
Like, and you